Hello, welcome to 10POW6's channel, and today we're going to do a mini technology update on our recent IAM, that's Identity Access Management migration. I'll be walking through our efforts, a little bit about the problem of why we initiated this, our solution, how it works, and then a little bit about what users will see as well as what this enables next. Hopefully you all find this a little bit interesting. So originally what we had was our 10pow6.com, I'll call this core, and it was essentially just a HTML landing page. We had teleportals, I'll label this as TP, and then bitglitch. So initially teleportals hosted our Cognito deployment. I'll just do COG. And Cognito is a AWS service that we're utilizing. And identity essentially lived here on Cognito within TP6. We have a couple issues with that if we look at this from a scalability perspective. So right now, from our current deployment, this makes sense. bitglitch was created to show a integration touchpoint to teleportals. Teleportals hosted identity. bitglitch kind of latched into that and utilized that. The main issue, though, is what happens when we go beyond these two within our ecosystem. It doesn't make sense for identity to live here. It's still a 10POW site. And let's say we make app 3, we're going to have a completely separate identity pool here then. That is a problem, at least from kind of our long-term plans and scalability perspectives. So what's the solution here? Well, we already hinted at it a little bit on this setup here. So what we decided to do was go ahead and centralize identity. So here we have core. And what we decided to do was actually host cog in this account, Cognito in this account. Core used to be just a landing page, but now we have accounts.10pow6.com. And what this is, it's going to be a React app that hosts all the account management. So that includes MFA, your one-time backup codes, and then just to clarify, it's not just React. There is a serverless backend with API gateway, and then Lambdas as well. But yeah, so essentially we moved the functionality that we originally had from here, rolled it up at one level higher. And that means now we had to do quite a bit of refactoring, but in long term, this helps us out substantially. So when a user hits either bitglitch or bitglitch or teleportals, the React apps here have their own login page. So it's branded towards the application. These are now relying parties. They trust core to handle authentication. The centralized identity, one account across any application within the 10pow6 ecosystem. And then each user or the user pool itself has multiple app identities. So when these are calling to log in, they have their specific app identity there. So on the login screen, this calls the centralized Cognito with a specific app ID, that client ID. Cognito is going to authenticate the user, then issue that JWT token back. And we are pretty much good to access here now based on kind of the various systems that we have in place. Before, initially, when we were on TP6, we actually had group identities passed into the token from Cognito. One of the refactors that we did is now TP6 manages its own group permissions locally, locally being server-side. But this now knows if a user is in free tier, paid tier, and all that jazz. Under the hood, it's really OAuth, OIDC that's happening here on this authentication. But this does provide a single sign-on now. One account is working everywhere. And keep in mind, there's a common misconception. SSO does not mean one login screen. It just means one identity. So the benefit here, instead of going like the Cognito hosted UI that would be managed up here, is each app has its own branded login experience. Teleportals is going to look like Portals. BitGlitch is going to look like BitGlitch, and so on. But same email password everywhere. So what does this enable us to do next? So as new apps get onboarded into our ecosystem, my auth is already centralized. There won't be additional costs for the instances, and it's just overall easier to manage. Identity is a platform concern, not a product concern. So if I sunset Portal tomorrow, our users that have been using BitGlitch will not be impacted. I can layer on federation later, features like, hey, sign in with Google on the central IDP, and then each of these apps have access to that. And then kind of that centralized user data really opens the door for cross-app functionality, shared profiles, unified billing, ecosystem-wide permissions, and all that fun stuff. Since this is a AWS managed service, AWS essentially manages the redundancy and scale. So just wanted to give you all a quick little snippet on one of the recent decisions we made technology-wise. And I hope you enjoyed this video, all 2 of you that probably watched this. So be sure to comment, like, and subscribe. All right, thanks.